Hi guys and welcome to Chirpse. With me, your host Glow. If you don't know, then get to know. And we have a very special guest today, Donnie Sunshine.
Hey, I got a lot of errands.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
When I was on my way here, I was kind of like thinking in my head, how am I going to introduce you? And I was like, I just don't know, but I just have so much enthusiasm for you.
Oh, thank you. That means so much, honestly.
No, for real, like you are well, obviously one of my favorite DJs. Someone I identify with a lot for so many different reasons, and like I just have so much respect for you. So thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, do you want to tell the people what you do?
What doesn't she do? That's the question.
Mr. Multidisciplinary.
It's very multidisciplinary. I would say creative first and foremost. I just try and utilize as many elements and aspects of myself to connect with people. It might be through music, by DJing. I do video production, photography, content creation, dabble in some sorts of creative direction and just other elements, events organization, just a bunch of creative stuff. But currently I'm working as a full-time DJ, so if you see me out, that's probably what I'm doing.
Yeah. Hence why I identify with you, because you're listing bare things and I'm just like, same, yeah. So you people, if you see me sweating today, I'm actually not in your mood, like I don't care, like, it's too humid today.
The sun is out. Apparently it's summer solstice. That's what
today?
That's what I'm hearing. That's
what
the people
I should have cancelled the session. Let me dab. I take a while to like acclimatise. But also, with my podcast, I really don't want it to be like polished and pristine. Like I want you to see me stutter and all of that kind of shit.
I think that's good. I think it's more engaging that way. I think, for me anyway, I like just hearing people in authentic ways. I don't need to. We're not watching a TV show where I think it's perfect.
Yeah, this isn't Love Island.
No.
But yeah, sorry, I got distracted.
It's okay.
ADHD. But currently you're a full-time DJ.
Yes.
And you have you have kind of exploded into the event scene in a different way by running your own events. For example, To the Left Can't Get Right. Yeah. Which I'm still yet to attend.
I know, you're really missing out.
I was meant to spend my New Year. You guys did New Year's.
Yeah, I've done 2 New Year's.
Yeah, I was meant to go on one of those days. I like to party hop on New Year's.
Yeah.
Free minimum.
Yeah.
By the time I got to number 2, I was like, you people aren't seeing.
Yeah. I hear that.
Do you want to talk more about To the Left Can't Get Right?
It's actually just To the Left, by the way. The Can't Get Right is the Instagram, but for Instagram I couldn't get To the Left.
Okay.
So I was like, what makes sense? I didn't want to put like numbers and things after it, so I just kind of made like a phrase that made sense, like To the Left Can't Get Right. So
I love it.
That's it. But To the Left, the name itself comes from, I'm sure you can gather, she's in the hive. Beyonce inspired it, obviously irreplaceable To the Left, but the main reason actually came from just being a black alternative queer person that's slightly left of centre. That's why I feel like I'm alternative, but when I would go out and hear music and go to clubs, the music will always be very like traditional, mainstream, dancehall, Afrobeat, trap, that stuff, and then the alternative stuff will be really alternative, be really like tech house, techno, edits, and I'm like, I like alternative R&B and hip hop. I love Frank Ocean and Solange and like all of those type of artists, as well as like the Jersey clubs and the Baye Funks and then throwing it back, disco and 80s synth and 2000s, like, so all of those things, I was like, for me, it felt just a little to the left. It wasn't all the way, so the name To the Left kind of came about that, and then just creating that space that kind of celebrates that music, and then also a space of intersectionality where things can come together through music. Yeah. Because I, as a black queer person, I have a lot of black queer friends, but I also have a lot of cishet friends as well who are very progressive and creative, and I feel like there wasn't many spaces that I went to, black ones anyway, that facilitated bringing all of these people together, but in a respectful way, but also making sure that the community, queer, POC community, were prioritized and they were looked after. So I think that's what To the Left represents. Like, it's a safe space for my community, but it welcomes everyone that's going to be respectful and that wants to enjoy themselves and have a good time. And I feel like we've kind of created that. Yeah.
I mean, even though I haven't been, I've only heard really good things.
Okay.
I would confidently say that you have, and people know me. I'm very critical of the event space in London. My most popular series on TikTok is things I hate about London nightlife. Okay. And I hate a lot of things. I hate most things actually. Okay. Which is why I brought you on. Because I'm just like, let me talk about events with somebody who actually does good events. Yeah. Because let's see if we can give y'all some feedback, some advice, some tips.
I agree, and I actually want to hear some of the things that you don't like and see if there's anything that I feel like I'm doing to go against that, or that I feel like I agree with you on.
Okay, I'm gonna try and think of 5 things off the top of my head. Firstly, I would say the lack of accessibility.
Okay.
Examples being, because I think when people think of accessibility, they think of it in like a very big scale.
Yeah.
They think lifts,
yeah.
wheelchair ramps, which obviously most venues should have wheelchair ramps and stuff like that. But I'm like, those things are based like that. We've already ticked those off. I'm like, why does your venue not have any seating at all? Because people are coming to your event who might have chronic illnesses, who might have arthritis, who might have things like that. I'm like, obviously you don't want everyone sitting down at your event the whole night, but it's like that should be an option that's available. Why are there not seats in smoking areas as well? Because a lot of the people who use smoking areas are not smokers. They're going out there because they're too hot, because they are in pain, because they're overwhelmed. You want over 50% of the attendees at your event to be women, and you expect them to follow these rigorous dress codes where they can't wear trainers, where they have to be in heels, but then you're saying that we're going to deprive you of the ability to sit down.
Okay.
And then you're wondering why most of the women have gone home like by 11.
Where is this, by the way?
Wait,
what? Because
multiple.
Okay, because I feel like I'm also like, I do accept that I live in a bubble in this world.
Don't we all?
So the places that I navigate, first and foremost, it doesn't look Grand Hills.
Yes.
The femme% in, Butch Queens.
To be fair, even the femmes where I don't wear heels
sometimes, but like no, but so there's not that. But I think what you're saying is a very important thing. I feel like from the promoter's perspective, this is more the what's it called again? The venue, but also I can't speak on everyone, but it's also not always easy to get accessible venues in London at cost and not be able to charge an arm and a leg for the people that are coming. It's all very techy, but I definitely agree with you, and I think it's something that should be looked into. Every place that I've used always had seating. The first place I used for the first 2 years, it wasn't very accessible.
Okay.
And the only reason I used that venue is because there was no hire fee and no bar spend. So I can charge tickets at a lower price, and I wanted to get something started that wasn't about making money. Like I broke even. I was like, can I pay my DJs? Can I pay the door people? Can I pay these things? I want to have a good time. Now I've elevated, I'm in a new venue, it's more accessible, there's still more seating, and there's other things, but I do know, especially being black and being queer, we don't have access to all the best venues. We don't have access. We don't get, when we do get in these places, they give us extortionate bar spends. Like, there's a lot of things to tackle. So I don't think you're wrong in what you're saying, but I think some things are not necessarily the promoters' problem, but it's good for promoters to be aware of these things. So when we are looking for venues, we can take that into consideration and be like, okay, let's try and see what we can do to make sure it's a bit more accessible in more ways than the obvious ones. So I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's my thing when it comes to accessibility. It's not necessarily like, I don't expect everyone to be able to do everything. Like I'm throwing, the first event I'm throwing as an adult, I'm throwing in a couple of weeks. And even just in that process, I'm someone who thinks of everything. I'm like, I can't do all of these things. And one, you have to be really forgiving with yourself as well. You have to almost kind of trust that your core audience understands that, like, you would have if you could have. But I think it's more so a thing of like, I just want people to take more things into consideration.
I think that's really and I think that's the biggest thing. I think we all have blind spots. I think that's the thing, especially when you come from places of privilege. When you're able, you don't always think about things when people are saying from different perspectives. So I feel like it's very important for people like us, anyone that has a platform, to raise awareness. Just so we can acknowledge that. And then some people are actively ignorant, and that's a different situation. But some people generally just don't know and don't realise, and that comes with privilege, unfortunately. So
I think just to round off that accessibility point, one thing that I've also literally just thought of is, I think as someone who goes out a lot, I'm very outside, very outside. I think sometimes when there have been incidents at venues or events or whatnot, there's like, sometimes you don't really know who to go to. So I'm like, even literally just having like one or two people who, even if they're just your trusted friends, who have some sort of like, who are physically identifiable, whether they have like, I don't know, like a wristband or a lanyard, like just knowing like, oh, if an incident happens, or if I start to feel a bit sick or a bit uncomfortable, I can go to this person, because a lot of the times it's like, we are hiring out venues rather than having venues of our
Yeah.
own. So it's like if an incident happens at an event, I might not feel comfortable to go to bar staff.
Yeah.
Or to, I mean, if security is visible, I might not feel comfortable to go to security. We all have our issues with security, but I think a lot less would occur if there were like physically identifiable people who were kind of like responsible for maintaining like a calm vibe. Other things I hate about nightlife. See, I really hate to like reinforce negative stereotypes about London, about certain scenes in London, because I don't believe that these things apply to me or the spaces that I'm in. But London is being bad vibes and being judgy and
see, I'm going to fight that. I think London is one of the best cities in the world.
No, same.
And I think
some of the least judgmental
the nightlife is one of the best we have because it's so diverse. But I also feel like London, like literally everything that happens in the world happens in London, but on a bigger scale. So the bad vibes that happen in London are happening everywhere, but you're going to experience it in London because it happens on a bigger scale.
It's like it's under
but there's good vibes as well, and I feel like it's about what you want. And I feel like sometimes people go for something, and when they get the thing that they wanted, they don't want it, and they're unappreciative and ungrateful. It's like I'm not a central London girly. I'm not a table service, a bottle service. I'm not a section. That's not my thing. Because those places are pretentious and there are bad vibes and all of those things. Give me a good warehouse. Give me a good you know, like certain things. So for me, if you're talking about certain places that I go, I can speak from that. But I think sometimes people are talking about places that I wouldn't go because I know what it represents is bad vibes. It isn't. Yeah. I hear a lot of things about London creative scene that's been happening online a lot, and I'm like, but when you're saying the creative scene, what are you talking about?
That's such a broad term as well.
It's a broad term, and I feel like a lot of people are going to these quote-unquote networking events, or people go into these places that they think creatives go to, when there's a lot of time it's influencers. There's a difference between being an influencer and a creative, and there's no shade to influencers or creatives. I feel like I swim between both, content creator, influencer, creative. But different spaces offer different vibes. I think creative spaces have the best vibes. I think influencer spaces don't have as much vibes because people, they're oversaturated with events. They're out every week.
It's also the
there's brands, there's different things. Whereas I feel like when people are paying to go somewhere, the energy is different. When people are looking forward to something, the energy is different. Versus when they're invited to come down to show their face.
That's a very good
all
point.
of these things, I feel like, play a part in why you would associate something with bad vibes. But everywhere that I go is always good vibes, even if I'm DJing or not, because I know how to navigate London. I go to spaces, I follow DJs. I think that's a big thing as well. Like, I follow DJs, my friends are DJs. It lets me know what kind of energy and vibe that's going to be at a place, and just different scenes as well. So I get what you're saying, but I always disagree with that, because I feel like if you give me a list of the places, I can break down and be like, because I played at places that are bad vibes. I'm not going to say that now because I'm not here to name and shame, but I know which parties and which vibes are not the one for me particularly, and I can agree with that, but I would never put everything into that one, thing, because if everywhere you go is bad vibes, maybe you're bad vibes. Maybe it's you.
I always think that, because I'm like, especially the people who, because for me, I don't think that the events that I go to are bad vibes, right? I'm in like a lot of creative spaces, a lot of music spaces as well, even though I don't put out music, and a lot of alternative spaces as well, right? Me and my friends were usually the people who are like, if a DJ is doing a set, we'll be the people at the front. We are curating a nice vibe. We are giving other people around us permission to be more open and expressive and whatnot, which is a theme that shows up in my life a lot. But I've also been at some of those spaces where other people have come and complained to me about things that I'm not privy to because I'm in my little good bubble.
Exactly. I've been in spaces, I've been in places where people, like, it's for example, and this is one thing I've seen a lot with the black community, specifically the mainstream black community that are crossing over into creative, alternative spaces they're not used to. And like even for example festivals, like we saw what happened with City Splash, and everyone was like, oh, there's mud, and everyone that goes to festivals, and non-black people are like, there's always mud at festivals. I've had piss thrown on me at festivals, like it's horrible, but like shit happens at festivals, I swear.
Oh honey.
Okay. But shit happens at festivals, and like this is something that I don't go to a festival wearing my best. I would never go to a festival wearing good clothes. I look good, but I've got my festival clothes. I've got like Converses that I was wearing for like 10 years. They were my festival Converses, bad and black, because they were my festival shoes. So I feel like me navigating those spaces, I'm gonna have a good time. Whereas people that have gone dressed up and they're wearing their nice stuff, when there's mud, they're going to have a bad time because they're not prepared for that. I experienced that at drum shows as well. There was like a big club, young black club night that had it at drum sheds. And I had the best time, but I've already been going drum sheds. And before drum sheds, I've been going Printworks. I like these big industrial spaces. But I feel like the community of people that came weren't used to that. So everyone was saying it was cold. I was like, it wasn't cold. I had my shirt on, my vest was there. I was having a good time. But I feel like because it's a big industrial space, it's not heating, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't work. You have to dance and then you will be warm. So I feel like sometimes it's not necessarily people actively trying to be bad vibes, it's just navigating different spaces with different expectations and then be disappointed because it doesn't meet the requirements of what you're used to in the spaces you used to navigate in. That's how I see it.
You mentioned something which I think is really interesting. Like, kind of as mainstream and alternative spaces kind of like collide. I think a lot of that has to do with obviously alternative spaces and alternative aesthetics becoming cool. Right? Because like obviously alternative culture, like, you know, you have like classic punk culture. That was political. That was like very like black, queer, brown. Like that was very like diverse. And obviously, as those things have like trickled down into fashion, and become alternative fashion, and now that is almost like a status signifier. And so it's like, oh, the cool kids are looking like that. So mainstream people, and I can only speak for communities which I'm part of. Mainstream black people, for example, adopting alternative aesthetics, which I love because I'm like, it gives me more room to be more alternative presenting in it. But I'm like, okay, cool. Now you're dressing the part, but you don't have politics. You don't have the understanding of the types of people you're going to encounter. You don't have the open-mindedness, and you're almost not there to learn. It's like, so I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to a move, and you've got your dangly earring and your pearl choker. Sorry, that's no shade.
My earring is dangling and the pearl is around the neck.
I was gonna wear a pearl.
I feel seen.
I'm like, okay, like, I'll be in like certain spaces and it's like, everyone looks the part. I can very easily sniff out who is just cosplaying. Precisely.
Because
they'll see like two girls kissing in the middle of the dance floor and they're like cutting eyes at them.
And that's something that I'm very big on. Like, when it came to creating vibes in my space, I make sure I say it publicly as much as possible. I'm like, this is not a gay or queer party, but it's a safe space for queer people. If you see someone that you believe is male presenting and they're wearing female clothes or vice versa, mind your business. If you see two people of the same gender dancing or kissing, mind your business. All these things, it's a space for everyone to feel comfortable. And the queer people and black queer people specifically are the ones that take priority over comfortability. So if you don't feel comfortable, you should leave. And it's not even it should be, you'll be asked to leave and asked to not return. And that goes into whenever I hire a venue or work with a venue, that is through the bar staff, the security, the management, I speak to everyone because I'm like, there are going to be people come in that you might presume is something and they're wearing something else, or as security, there's going to be people that might bring an ID and it might have one gender on it and they're presenting as another gender. You need to respect these things. It's not just about safety, because I feel like safety is a bare minimum for our community, and unfortunately because of the state of the world, that's something that we have to kind of just accept. But when it comes to the space that I've created, safety is not even where we want comfort. We want you to be able to be here. I don't need to be uncomfortable. I can't care for you on your journey. I can't be on the train with you or on that Uber. But once you enter these doors, be your most authentic self, and no one should judge you. And that's something that I've only ever gotten positive feedback. But if I ever get any negative feedback, I will receive that and I'll do the work. And if it ever comes to the point where I'm like, okay, we have to be more selective with the non-queer people that are coming to these spaces, and it might be more conversation on the door. For when we do have my door people are perfect, they're amazing, and they always analyze and be like, we only sell tickets online as well. I think that's a big thing as well. I used to do door tickets, and I've seen how that can turn out. Anyone can turn up. Whereas with online tickets, you know what you're there for. The description is there. That's it. I also have separate to that. I always have a big guest list. So for me, I make sure there's a guest list of, I would say, at least 35% of the numbers that will make the vibe and set the space, because when people are buying tickets, you never know who's coming. Whereas with my guest list, it's not just about like, oh, putting my friends on. It's like, actually, this is the community that it was created for. So I've got to make sure there's a number of people from this community that are here, so that anyone else that comes in, they feel seen, they feel, feel comfortable. So these are the measures that I take to kind of implement that.
Yeah.
And I feel like more people should.
Yeah, no, pardon me. No, 100%. Even as you're saying that, I'm like, because I chose not to give guest lists to anyone for the event that I'm.
But I understand why you wouldn't. And the thing is, I get it. And also, I'm in a privileged position. I'm quite successful as a DJ. I make good money. So me starting this night isn't to make money. I'm like, I can break even and I can be good.
Yeah.
I want to create this space because I know so much people is like, if you just sold half of those tickets, you make some. And I'm like, I get that, but I also like I said, I want to make sure that I curate this space the way I want to curate it. And also, so much people have supported me in my journey. So this is just a small token of giving back. I don't give it to any Tom, Dick and Harry.
Yeah.
It's literally like for my community, people that come out and uplifted me and all these years. So yeah, if I can do a little token, I can do that. But I don't recommend like starting out and just giving. Like I do feel like it's important for your guests, your friends to support you. And the funny thing is, the closest people to me always either buy tickets or will ask me, should I buy tickets? And I'm like, it's the people, no shade, the people that are not as close to me that will just assume they're on guest list. But that's how the way things goes anyway. But so yeah, I understand why you wouldn't, and it makes sense. And I feel like, especially if you've got a clear platform and you know what it's for and you're putting it out there, then that's fine. I think because mine's a bit open, I want to make sure, like I said, I want to make sure that community is still there and still very vibrant. Especially because I play in a lot of commercial spaces as well. So with my name being attached to it, I don't want people coming and expecting something that they're not going to get. Whereas like, no, this isn't a Donnie Sunshine Night. This is to the left. To the left represents a whole different side of me. It represents a side of me that I don't get to play anywhere else. You know, so. Yeah.
No, 100%. I hear that. I literally just had a flashback because we were talking about bubbles earlier. And I think it's very fair to say that I'm very, very comfortable in my bubble. I think my bubble's great. Sometimes I have to pop my bubble a little bit just to disillusion myself. And I remember there was one night where I was very, very disillusioned because I tend to feel usually quite safe at most events, like even events that aren't like specifically queer or specifically black. Most events that aren't specifically queer or black. Like, I'll feel calm. They're like, I'll be flirting with guys. I'll lips people. Like it's not a thing. I remember I went to one of my mutuals shows. Denzel himself, right? He's a great artist, alternative, really leans into that kind of like black cowboy aesthetic. Love that. And the show was amazing. I've been to that venue a couple times before. I can't remember what it's called, but I've been to that venue a few times. It's always been great. Like a lot of people showed up. A lot of people that I knew showed up as well. So I'm there with like my straight boys, like my straight black guy friends, like my non-binary friends, like my girlies, like the straight femme girls, like we're having a key, and then one of my friends, Zinzi, who's actually been on the show before, they're like a really tall like alternative non-binary model, like, and so when we're together, like we switch up the gender roles a lot, right? And so at some point during the set, I'm pretty sure I was twerking on Zinzi, right? Yeah. Which is not an issue. Zinzi's tall enough to catch my wine. We were having fun, and then as soon as like the wine ended, like I was just like alert. Like I swear I sobered up so quickly because I just felt like the worst aura behind me, and then I turned back. I'm blackout drunk, so I don't even remember this altercation like that correctly. But I turned around, and then these two like black men who I'm assuming were straight. These two black men who were like about my age were just like trying to almost like. How would I even say? They were almost like not even interrogating, but just trying to instigate. And they were being very aggressive and unpleasant towards me and making comments. I don't remember the specifics of what they said, but I know that it was very, very unpleasant. And for me, it's like I wasn't even like necessarily upset. I was just shocked. I was just like, I turned around and I was like, huh? And then they said whatever they said again, and I was like. Okay, and then I literally just turned back around to my friends, and everyone was like, "Are you good? Like, what was that?" And then I was like, "Oh, they were just being homophobic." But like for me, it's like I was just in shock because like that doesn't happen to me.
It's like where do they do that at? Like is that still a thing?
That's
still a thing.
That's like, very privileged.
But Londoners, we are very privileged in that sense. I feel very privileged. I feel like I've never really like faced a lot of homophobia. I feel like I don't know what it is. I don't know, maybe because I do know I'm very palatable. I do recognize my privilege. I know I don't make straight people uncomfortable. So I know, and I also know that homophobia is really like rooted in femphobia and misogyny. So because I don't feel like I'm anyone's mask, I say that right now. but I do know that I'm more mass presenting.
Yeah.
You know, I put that out there because some of the girls, you be saying, yeah, I feel like I'm not feminine, be like, girl, like, no, I don't see it as like this badge of honor. It's just, I know the way that I present doesn't make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So therefore that affects the way that I'm treated.
Yeah.
Versus like, you know, more of my femme counterparts. So I haven't experienced a lot of those things, and I feel like I got to this point where I'm like, I'm ready. My mouth is ready and my fists are ready, and I'm like, to this point where I'm like, okay, do something, and it doesn't actually happen. Even in my comments, like, even in my like, I'm in a public relationship and like I'll put pictures up with me and my partner and we'll be kissing and like nothing ever negative. I don't know if it's been filtered out or people just know what they're getting, but I guess it's a privilege. So when I hear things like that, I'm just like, what? Like, but I do know I'm not, you know, naive enough to not believe that.
Obviously it happens, but it's just like it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah, it doesn't happen, especially like honestly London. Inner London, not like the outside, not the outskirts of the Bromleys and Croydon.
Real London,
but like, you know, anything from zone 1 to zone 4, you're like, everyone should know that right now.
Especially because of the environment that we're in as well. I was like, if you are someone who's here at this guy's show, right, you know what he's about. You know, he's I don't know what his sexuality is or whatnot. I don't claim to know that. But he's always championed queer people. He's always been very vocal about that. So I'm like, you niggas came into this space thinking that like this is a space that I can run. And I think, for me as well, it's like almost like a battle of entitlement. Yeah. Because I felt entitled in that space to feel comfortable and like free with my friends and, you know, have a laugh. I felt safe. The feeling of safety is an entitlement, right? But in that moment, they felt entitled as straight black men, as straight black masculine men as well, to kind of like, to try and like stamp down on like feminine energies.
They felt intimidated. Yeah. That's the thing. I feel like this is the thing about like toxic masculinity. It has to take up space, and it feels like anything that encroaches on that space is a challenge. Yeah. So I feel like you just living your life, and the fact that you're not apologetic for who you are is a challenge to their ego. Yeah. It's like, how dare you can do that, whatever you do behind closed doors and all that rubbish. But it's like, but doing it in my face, now they feel like you're taking the piss out of them. It's like, there's nothing to do with living my life, and nothing to do with you. But they are so insecure that it's a big thing. Everything's an act of revolution against them. It's like, no one's caring about you.
Oh man, just grow up. It's just like there's so much love here. There's so much love here. Like
that's the thing. That's the thing that I actually try to put out. And this is also why I try and make sure my space is safe, but it's also open, because some of the best responses I've gotten back has been from straight black men. Yeah. And I've been around it. I've got a lot of straight black male friends. And through my journey of coming out and experiencing myself and understanding myself, they've seen the growth in me and I've seen the growth in them by just our connection. So when there's men that are in these spaces, they just let loose and they have free, because black straight cishet men, like, they don't get the opportunity a lot of the time to just be free and have fun and carefree and just dance without like, oh, what might pop off or this person, or, you know. So creating that space and seeing people just have a good time, it's like, oh. And I think this is why we get all this homophobia and all these things, because it's all this pent up energy and this jealousy as well. Yeah. A lot of it is, how dare you? How dare you be so free? How dare you get to be yourself when I can't do anything? Everything that I do, a girl's gonna say sassy, or my guys are gonna say sus. Yeah. They can't do nothing. Yeah. Let's all be sus together.
Let's
be sassy and sus.
That is a title.
That's sassy and sus.
That is the title of the episode. Oh, I love it when that happens. Thank you, podcasting gods. But I do need to.
I know that, because we be talking. We
need to do that level soon. But you mentioned that you are in a public relationship. Yeah. Like, I've watched the podcast episodes that you both did on Tutu's podcast. Shout out to my girls. Like, I love y'all so much. Like, you know what? I'm gonna put a link to Donnie's episode of Tutu's in the bio, because I feel like as a podcasting community, we don't.
Yeah. I get that.
Like, me putting other people on does not take away from my shine. It's like, let's all be great together.
And people want that, because when I finish my podcast and one ends and then it just recommends me some next random BBC one or two white women talking, and no shade to the white women talking. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. Recommend me someone, you know. So sometimes just recommending, it's like it keeps it going. People don't. We never get stopped. Like, oh, I've had enough of my queer black enjoyment today. No, I want every day. So
to a degree, fuck gatekeeping. Like, let's be great together. LGBT. But yeah, you're in a public relationship. Your partner is so funny, by the way. I just live for you guys. I didn't know him prior to watching the Tutus episode, but I was just like, yeah, you guys make sense. Like I really like just great all around. Compliments to the chefs and whatnot. But obviously you guys met on a night out.
Well, to be honest, we were both working. So yeah, I was DJing and he was working the event.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you what advice would you give to people who might be interested in men, who don't know how to approach guys at events?
Okay, so I think first and foremost, I think respect is the most important thing. So be respectful, regardless of how someone presents, whether you know they're queer or not. I think respect, connecting. For me, every time I date or any person I would want to date, I always start with a friendship. It starts on a friendship level. I will connect with your vibe and your energy. So I'm going to approach you. I can be attracted to you, but I'm not going to approach you complimenting you physically. I'm not going to speak about my attraction to you. I'm going to connect with you as a person, as a friend, and see if we connect. If I feel that energy is there from that point, whether it's in real time or after the fact, we'll connect. And that's what happened. We met and we both just connected on a friend level. Like he loved the music that I was playing. He got me a fan when I was really hot because he was working the thing, and so we would we just engaged with each other. And like I always say, like he had like a really low bucket hat and he didn't have a shape up that day, so I didn't even really see his face like that. So I wasn't even like drawn to him.
Good vibes, isn't it?
Good vibes. And honestly, it wasn't until like a week later he found me on Instagram. He added me on Instagram. And I saw these images. I said, "Who is this fine specimen of a man?" I said, "Wait a minute, it's the same person." Yeah. So at this point, I'm a bit older, so I kind of strike when the iron's hot, and I don't really question too much. So I literally messaged him. At this point, I didn't know if he was queer. I messaged him and I said, "Hey, it was nice meeting you the other day at this event. Just to put it out there, I find you attractive. I'm not sure if you're queer or not, but I find you attractive. If you are, I would love to maybe go on a date and see where it can go. If not, no disrespect, but you seem like a cool person regardless."
Intentionality, please.
He's like, "I am queer, I'm attracted to you too. What are you saying? Well, what's good?" And then
look at you now.
Right, and that's what. So I would definitely say lead with intention. So those are the two things. I feel like we met and organically it was just a good chemistry. Yeah. So I feel like having that moment was good. But then the next time we spoke, I went straight in. I didn't kind of lollygag and try and go back and forth. I feel like
I'd be coy, like.
And the thing is, I used my 20s. I'm telling you, chase the train, girl. That was the game in the 20s. But like, that was like really fun for me in my 20s. Like it was like you meet someone, it's like, oh, are they? Aren't they? Yeah. You're teasing, you're messaging, 30s, I ain't got time for that. Like I'm very direct. I go straight to it, and I'm like, because at the end of the day, first and foremost, well, I battled and I've gone through my internalized homophobia. Yeah. So I know now. I'm like, seeing someone as queer for me isn't an insult, isn't less than. I don't do that within my community as well, because I feel like sometimes our community, you might shade bi men or femme presenting straight men and be like, oh girl, he's gay. Like gay is the worst thing or the bad thing. Yeah. I'm like, no, you'd be lucky if you're gay because we're fat. Yeah. So when I think about like how I approach things, it's never in a way that can be disrespectful, because me asking if you're queer for me isn't disrespectful. That's me being respectful before I actually make an actual gesture or anything. Yeah. So I think being direct in a way, and if that person responds in a negative way, then they were never for you. If they're not queer, they were never for you, and you find out sooner rather than later. So be direct.
I feel like that's actually how I've made a lot of my guy friends, because in talking to you, you've made me realise that I think I talk to straight black men the most, which is crazy for me, because I'm queer as fuck. Yeah. And it's not because I want them, it's literally just because I think, one, it's almost like that whole thing of like straight men being drawn to spaces or people where they can be more open, right? So I think it's a lot of that. Also, I'm very fucking friendly. Like, I'm very friendly.
Same.
If I see people on a night, even like, them little wallflowers where it's just like, you can tell that you don't come to this scene much. Yeah. I can see the curiosity in your eyes. So I'll go and strike up combos, like just chat to people. People usually message me afterwards and be like, oh, like it was great chatting with you. Now I'll strike up another conversation. I tend to ask people if they're queer very early on. Yeah. The same way that I ask people what country they're from. How old they are.
I think that's the thing. It's just information, because it's also like how I interact with you. Yeah, it's also what community are you part of. Exactly. And I think this is why I always use the word queer now as well. Yeah. I feel like for me, queer is such an umbrella, and it's such a level also of, for me, there's a level of respect, because for me, queer doesn't mean you can still identify straight, be queer. you can identify. I might be your identity. It might not be your sexual attraction. It might be anything. So you don't even have to go into like the ins and outs. If you say I'm queer, after that point you could be queer and still not attracted to me or attracted to men, and that's a whole different conversation. So I agree with that, and I agree with the whole straight men thing. I think what is harder now, I think it's why you have to be direct, is because the straight men,
they be looking,
they be sassy and sus. They be sassy and sus. And
another problem with the blending of alternative.
In the best possible way, and I'm not saying sassy and sus in a negative way. I'm saying it in the sense of like the way that masculinity used to present itself has now shifted. Like straight men are wearing more tighter jeans than the gays. Like they're saying it's giving.
Let's remove the skinny jeans, please.
Yeah, because we don't need that. But they're just saying it's giving. They'll be using the lingo. They'll be complimenting your drip.
Yeah.
They'll be overly friendly, and there's nothing wrong with it. I feel like that's actually a great vibe. I feel like there should be a blending of it. But when you're on the dating scene, it is very confusing.
Yeah.
So I feel like to try and just kind of cut through that, try and be as direct as possible.
Yeah.
And then from that point, definitely you can just build a great platonic friendship, and that could be something within itself.
Yeah.
Just if someone tells you they're straight, believe them the first time, even if they're lying to themselves.
Yeah.
Do not be that girl that's here trying to turn them out. It's just not cute. It's not cute.
And with that, we got to wrap up because we want to start the dilemmas. So thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week for the hashtag Ask Glow episode. If you don't know, then get to know. Send us your dilemmas down below. I will link Donnie's social media and his episode of Tutu's podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye. Love ya. I'm going to check my hair before I go.
Honestly, that was like, I'm not even joking, that's one of my favourite podcasts I've ever done. I've done so many. I've never felt so comfortable in chat. I feel like whenever I go on a podcast, I can't have it because I have anxiety. So I overthink. I think of my answers. I think about how I'm sitting. I just think about things. I haven't thought about anything since we've been here. It's just flowed. It's been such a great conversation.
That makes me really happy.
I'm like, I could have plugged more. I haven't said what I've been doing. I got a busy summer, but
no, you can plug it at the start.
But no, it's not even that deep. But for me, I want to testament to that because it was really fun.
That makes me really happy.
Because I love speaking, and I feel like it's something I want to get back into. I want to do my own podcast again. I did one, and I want to get back into it. But a part of me feels a bit daunting because sometimes when I sit down in the chair, I'm like overthinking. But this really just let me know what it could be, which is a conversation. And I feel the same way with Tutus. That was us. We just chatted. We just chatted.
Podcasts that I've been on.
Cackled, and like there was no dead space. There was no point where we're like, what's next? It was like, girl, we need to get through this because we've got things to do. And I love that. So yeah.
Oh no, I will definitely be inviting you back on.